Have you ever taken a moment to reflect on whether the month you were born in might hold a deeper meaning? At first glance, it probably feels like just a fun fact, something light, maybe even a little irrelevant. But to Carl Jung, one of the most influential thinkers in modern psychology, your birth date was far from a coincidence. He saw it as something profoundly symbolic, a thread woven into the fabric of your identity. According to Jung, the month you entered the world isn't just tied to seasons or calendars. It represents a symbolic doorway, one that can offer powerful insights into your personality, your emotional journey, and the unique kind of energy you naturally radiate. It hints at your psychological blueprint, your hidden strengths, the patterns you're meant to understand, and the emotional themes that repeat throughout your life. Jung didn't view this as superstition or vague fortune-telling. For him, it was a meaningful way to explore human nature through the lens of depth psychology. Now, just imagine for a second, what if understanding the symbolism tied to your birth month could help you uncover hidden aspects of your personality? What if it could shed light on your emotional rhythms, your habits, and even offer a clearer sense of your life's purpose? Sounds a bit intense, doesn't it? But when we start digging into Carl Jung's ideas, especially his insights on archetypes, the collective unconscious, and the natural cycles that shape our world, this concept becomes far more grounded than you might think. In this journey, we're going to explore Jung's unique view of time, specifically how each month of the year carries its own psychological essence. We'll look at how this symbolic energy might quietly shape the emotional patterns, personality traits, and even spiritual direction of those born during that time. But before we dive in, a quick invitation. If you're someone who values depth, introspection, and meaningful self-discovery, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Here, we don't just scratch the surface, we explore what truly lies beneath. Joining us means becoming part of a community committed to growth, not through cliches or quick fixes, but through deeper understanding and inner awareness. Take a slow, deep breath, because what you're about to discover might not just shift the way you think about your birth month. It could also reshape the way you view your personal story, the emotional patterns you've lived through, and the path you've quietly been walking all along. This isn't about labeling or limiting anyone. It's about uncovering the deeper threads already woven into your existence. At the heart of Carl Jung's work lies one powerful idea, that the universe is made up of repeating patterns, what he called archetypes. These are universal images, themes, and energies that show up everywhere, in myths, in religions, in stories from every corner of the world. They're not just external symbols, they live within us too. Jung believed that each of us carries a distinct blend of these archetypes inside our psyche. And these inner patterns subtly influence the way we think, the emotions we feel, and the choices we make. Jung also believed that the natural rhythms of the earth, the turning of the seasons, reflect these archetypes in action. Each season holds its own psychological essence. The quiet stillness of winter, the renewing pulse of spring, the bold expression of summer, and the introspective calm of autumn. These aren't just changes in weather, they mirror shifts in human energy, emotion, and consciousness. And since every month is rooted in a specific season, it too carries symbolic meaning. To Jung, your birth month isn't just a date marked on a calendar. It's a symbolic stamp, a unique energetic signature. It marks the moment you enter the world, and that moment is saturated with meaning. The surrounding environment, the tone of the season, the balance of light and darkness, the feeling of something beginning or winding down, all of it contributes to the emotional and symbolic atmosphere you were born into. Take March, for instance. It's a month of transition, a bridge between two worlds. In the northern hemisphere, it signals the thawing of winter and the arrival of spring. Snow begins to melt, daylight stretches longer, and life slowly begins to awaken from its slumber. According to Jung, those born during transitional months, like March or September, often carry a kind of duality within them. These months stand at the edge of seasonal change, winter giving way to spring, or summer fading into autumn. And so, people born at these turning points may feel like they live between two worlds, balancing movement and stillness, outward expression and inward reflection. There's often a unique sensitivity in them, a deep awareness of both emotional and environmental shifts. They're typically in tune with change, sensing it, adapting to it, even being energized by it. At their core, they strive to bridge opposites and create inner harmony. Now let's contrast that with someone born in January or July, months that represent the heart of winter and the peak of summer. These are stable periods when a season is fully present, settled, and strong. People born in these months often reflect that sense of stability. They carry within them qualities of structure, resilience, and dependability. Jung linked them to archetypes that embody persistence, long-range vision, and the drive to create lasting foundations. These are the planners, the builders, the steady hands that bring order where there's chaos. These individuals often carry a quiet strength, a kind of inner resilience that not only helps them endure life's challenges, but also gives them the capacity to support others through theirs. What intrigued Jung most was the idea that time itself isn't just a neutral backdrop. It has texture. It has rhythm, emotion, and story. And when we're born at a particular moment in that unfolding story, we inherit a kind of symbolic atmosphere, like a background melody that plays quietly beneath the surface of our lives. It doesn't dictate who we become or what choices we make, but it does shape the emotional tone we're born into, the subtle patterns that color our thoughts, habits, and reactions. Jung didn't see this as a script written in stone. Instead, he saw it as a symbolic map, a guide that can help us navigate our inner world. It doesn't say, "Here's what you must do," but rather, "Here are the energies you may wrestle with. Here are the strengths you carry. And here are the shadows you might be called to face." For Jung, true freedom begins with knowing yourself. And part of that self-knowledge comes from understanding the archetypal landscape you were born into, the psychological terrain that shaped you long before you had words for it. What makes this idea so compelling is how it transforms something we usually take for granted, the month we were born, into a mirror for self-discovery. That simple date on your birth certificate? It's not just a number. It becomes a doorway, a symbolic path that connects you to the deeper cycles of nature, the insights of psychology, and the quiet whispers of the soul. And that brings us to the real question. What might your birth month reveal about the journey of your soul? According to Jung's symbolic approach, each month aligns with a particular archetype, a timeless psychological blueprint that exists in all of us, though more strongly expressed in some than others. These archetypal patterns can help explain why you're naturally drawn to certain roles, why some emotional themes seem to repeat, and where your deepest inner wisdom resides. In the sections that follow, we'll explore the deeper meaning behind each month of the year, and uncover the unique energies they carry for those born within them. From the quiet depths of January to the transformative mystery of November, you'll begin to see how Jung's view of archetypes gives deeper meaning to the simple passing of time. As we move through the early months of the year, you may start to recognize pieces of yourself in ways you hadn't noticed before, perhaps in places you never thought to look. But remember, this journey isn't about squeezing yourself into a mold. The archetypes Jung spoke of aren't meant to confine you. They're meant to reveal you. They aren't rigid definitions, but mirrors that reflect hidden aspects of who you already are. They're here to help you name what's been quietly guiding you from within all along. So, if you're curious to uncover the symbolic energy behind your birth month, and to understand how it may be influencing your emotions, your choices, and even your personal evolution, then stay with us. Because in the next part, we'll begin moving through each month, one by one. Starting with January, February, and March, and continuing through the entire year, we'll explore the archetypes that Jung believed are deeply tied to each point in time. And what you discover along the way might not only surprise you, it might just help you reconnect with a forgotten part of yourself. Now that we've explored Carl Jung's idea that your birth month carries symbolic significance, a reflection of the archetypal energies shaping your inner world, it's time to dive deeper. Let's begin with January. Jung didn't view the months of the year as random divisions on a calendar. To him, each month was a symbolic phase in the larger cycle of nature, a psychological season, carrying its own emotional tone and archetypal energy. Those born within each of these time periods often find themselves aligned with certain universal patterns that quietly shape who they are. So let's begin this journey through the symbolic calendar, starting with January, a month connected to the archetype of the elder, or the sage. January opens in stillness. In much of the world, it marks the coldest, most silent time of the year. Nature has slowed to a whisper. It's a season of reflection, of turning inward, of beginning again, but only after honoring what has come before. Jung associated this time with the sage, a figure of wisdom, patience, and quiet strength. People born in January often seem to carry an old soul energy. From an early age, they may feel a natural sense of maturity and a deep sense of responsibility. They're not always the loudest voice in the room, but when they speak, their words carry weight. People listen, not because of volume, but because of presence. There's a quiet wisdom that often surrounds those born in January, a natural ability to step back and view life through a wider lens. They're drawn to long-term visions, inner steadiness, and the kind of insight that only comes through reflection. While they may appear reserved on the surface, beneath lies a deep well of determination and a solid, grounded presence. But like every archetype, the sage carries a shadow side. That same wisdom can tip into caution. That inner depth can become heaviness. At times, January-born individuals may find themselves leaning too far into seriousness, becoming overly rigid or emotionally distant. They might forget to make room for spontaneity, joy, or play. Their challenge, then, is to honor their inner sage, to trust their depth, while also remembering to let light in. Wisdom doesn't have to be solemn. In fact, true wisdom knows when to pause and when to dance. In Jung's symbolic framework, February aligns with the archetype of the visionary, the one who peers beyond the present moment and imagines what could be. People born during this month often carry a powerful sense of imagination, a hunger for innovation, and a strong desire to challenge convention. They tend to think differently, independently, and aren't easily confined by rules or traditional systems. There's often a quiet rebelliousness in their spirit, but it's not rebellion for its own sake. It comes from seeing another path, a better possibility that others might not recognize yet. Many February-born individuals are deeply creative, emotionally intuitive, and uniquely attuned to the future, even if they don't always express it outwardly. But with this archetype also comes a shadow. Visionaries can sometimes feel like outsiders. Their ideas may be ahead of their time, their ideals hard to explain. As a result, they may struggle with feeling misunderstood or find everyday life dull compared to the vivid world of their inner visions. The real challenge for those born in February is to find ways to anchor their insights, to bring their dreams down from the clouds and into reality. When they do, they become catalysts for change, helping the rest of us see what we couldn't before. March, the archetype of the reborn or the awakener. March marks a powerful threshold. In the Northern Hemisphere, it's the moment spring begins to stir, the earth slowly waking from winter's long slumber. In Jung's symbolic vision, this month is tied to the archetype of the reborn, the one who rises from darkness into light, who moves from stillness into growth and renewal. Those born in March often possess a deep emotional sensitivity. They feel the world around them intensely, not just through thought, but through intuition, through energy, through the quiet language of the heart. There's usually something creative or spiritual about them, a connection to life cycles, to nature, and to the idea of beginning again. These are the souls who can transform, and transform again. Reinvention comes naturally to them. They may seem gentle on the outside, but they carry a quiet strength, a kind of emotional resilience that allows them to start fresh no matter how many times life asks them to. But the shadow side of the reborn is just as real. Their emotional depth, while beautiful, can become overwhelming. At times, they may lose themselves in their inner world, feeling adrift or misunderstood. Their journey is about learning to balance sensitivity with grounding, to let their heart guide them, without letting it consume them. March-born individuals often benefit from learning how to create healthy boundaries. With such a rich emotional and intuitive inner world, it's essential for them to stay grounded, to bring their depth into balance with presence in the outer world. April, the archetype of the warrior or the initiator. April doesn't arrive quietly. It bursts forward with energy, movement, and a sense of urgency. The days stretch longer, the pace of life quickens, and everything around us seems to awaken with momentum. This month carries the bold, fiery spirit of the warrior, or the initiator, an archetype rooted in courage, action, and raw personal will. Those born in April tend to be natural trailblazers. There's a confident, assertive spark in them, a readiness to take charge, to leap into the unknown, to begin things others only dream of. Whether they realize it or not, they often end up leading the way. Their energy is magnetic, their passion contagious. They're not afraid to stand up for what they believe in, and they bring intensity to everything they do. But with that fire also comes a challenge. The warrior shadow can show up as impulsiveness, impatience, or even aggression when that powerful energy isn't channeled with intention. For April-born souls, the key is learning to harness their drive without letting it consume them, to stay bold, but also aware. April-born individuals may find patience to be their greatest teacher. With so much fire and forward motion, they can sometimes push themselves to the point of burnout. Their personal evolution comes when they learn to balance bold action with mindful stillness, to know not just how to charge ahead, but when to pause and gather strength. May, the archetype of the builder or the lover of simplicity, May arrives with a quiet kind of magic. The earth is in full bloom, life is stable, and beauty seems to settle into every corner of the natural world. This is a time of blossoming and balance, a season that brings both strength and softness. In Jung's symbolic framework, May aligns with the archetype of the builder, or the lover of simplicity. This archetype cherishes what is real, tangible, and lasting. People born in May often have a grounded presence. There's a sensuality to them, not just in romance, but in how they experience the world through their senses. They are drawn to the beauty of everyday life, to nature, art, good food, and meaningful routines. Stability brings them comfort. Loyalty and consistency are among their greatest strengths. They build slowly but surely, and they invest deeply in what they care about. These individuals often carry a nurturing energy, a desire to create not just things, but spaces and experiences that feel safe, beautiful, and lasting. The challenge for those born in May lies in their love of comfort and stability. While these qualities give them strength, they can also become limitations. The builder archetype may resist change, holding too tightly to routine out of fear of losing what feels safe. But true growth comes when they learn to welcome change without losing their grounding, to evolve while staying connected to what truly matters. June, the archetype of the seeker or the mediator. June marks the turning point of the year, a moment suspended between what is past and what lies ahead. It's a time filled with light, motion, and curiosity. In Jung's symbolic language, June is tied to the seeker, or sometimes the mediator, the archetype driven by a hunger for knowledge, connection, and deeper truth. Those born in June often have minds that move fast and hearts that stay open. They're curious by nature, eager to learn, to question, and to understand the world around them. Adaptable and socially gifted, they're able to shift between ideas, perspectives, and people with ease. There's often a spark of youthful energy in them, playful and light, but it's paired with a quiet longing to uncover life's more profound meanings. June-born individuals are often exceptional communicators. They have a gift for weaving together people, ideas, and experiences in a way that feels seamless and alive. Their energy is connective. They thrive when they're building bridges between thoughts, between hearts, between worlds. But the challenge for the seeker lies in focus. With so many interests pulling at them, they can struggle to choose a single path or stick with one decision for long. Their minds are always moving, and that can lead to overthinking, indecision, or a desire to please everyone around them. Their growth comes from learning how to center themselves, to stay grounded in their truth while still exploring the vastness of the world. When they find that inner anchor, their curiosity becomes a superpower rather than a source of distraction. As we've seen, each month brings with it a unique psychological tone, a symbolic invitation to explore a specific layer of the human experience. And for Jung, these weren't rigid labels. They were mirrors, reflecting truths that already live within us, waiting to be seen. Now, we turn our attention to the second half of the year, July through December, months that carry deeper, often more intricate energies. They speak of emotion, transformation, purpose, and wisdom earned over time. And perhaps, as we explore these coming archetypes, you'll feel something stir, a quiet recognition, a deeper sense of your own path and purpose. Let's continue this symbolic journey and discover what the next 6 months might reveal about the soul's unfolding story. Jung believed that the second half of the year reflected deeper processes, a time of maturation, emotional complexity, and a stronger inner call toward transformation and meaning. Each of these later months reveals something essential about the archetypes we carry when we're born under their influence, and understanding them can guide us toward a more authentic relationship with ourselves. July, the archetype of the protector or the nurturer. July arrives wrapped in warmth. It's a time of family gatherings, emotional closeness, and a return to what feels safe and familiar. This month is deeply tied to connection, care, and the inner world of feelings. In Jung's symbolic system, July is aligned with the nurturer or protector, the archetype that instinctively senses and responds to the emotional needs of others. Those born in July often possess high emotional intelligence. They're empathetic, intuitive, and tend to care deeply, not just in words, but in presence, in quiet gestures, in the way they show up for the people they love. There's usually a powerful bond to family, memory, and home. Traditions matter to them, not because they resist change, but because they value roots. These individuals often serve as the emotional heart of their communities, the ones people turn to for comfort, guidance, or simply to feel seen. But like every archetype, the nurturer has its shadow. July-born souls may become so focused on caring for others that they forget to care for themselves. They may give endlessly, often without asking for anything in return, leading to burnout, resentment, or emotional exhaustion. Their journey is about learning to extend the same compassion inward, to protect their own well-being as fiercely as they do for others. At times, July-born individuals may suppress their own feelings just to keep the peace, placing others' needs so far above their own that they lose sight of their inner voice. Their growth comes through learning to set boundaries and to care for themselves with the same devotion they offer to others. True nurturing begins with self-protection. August, the archetype of the leader or the sovereign. August enters the stage with boldness and brilliance. It's a month filled with energy, confidence, and full expression, a time when the light is high and the world feels alive with possibility. In Jung's symbolic system, August reflects the archetype of the sovereign, the king or queen, the natural leader whose presence can shape the direction of others. Those born in August often radiate a sense of authority and magnetism. There's a natural leadership quality in them, not always loud, but unmistakably strong. They tend to have a clear sense of self, a powerful drive to make an impact, and a deep desire to live with purpose. While they may enjoy the spotlight, it's rarely about ego. More often, it's because they feel a calling to lead, to serve, or to inspire. But the sovereign archetype comes with its own set of challenges. When out of balance, it can lean into pride, the need for control, or a sense of loneliness when others don't fully understand the weight of leadership. August-born individuals may feel isolated at times, burdened by their own expectations or others' projections. Their growth lies in humility, in learning to share power, and in embracing vulnerability as a strength. When they strike that balance, they become not just leaders, but visionaries who uplift those around them, guiding with both strength and grace. September, the archetype of the analyst or the perfectionist. September arrives with a sense of quiet purpose. In the Northern Hemisphere, it signals the beginning of autumn, a time of harvest, reflection, and preparation. The air begins to cool, and life subtly shifts toward order. For Jung, this month resonated with the archetype of the analyst, the one who seeks meaning through structure, clarity, and understanding. Those born in September often possess sharp, observant minds. They have a natural talent for bringing order to complexity, for sorting through chaos and finding patterns that others might miss. Detail-oriented and disciplined, they tend to thrive in environments that require focus, precision, and thoughtful planning. Whether as organizers, researchers, or strategists, they often feel most grounded when everything is in its place. But as with all archetypes, the analyst has a shadow. That same strength for structure can turn into perfectionism, an inner voice that's never quite satisfied. September-born individuals may be their own harshest critics, setting impossibly high standards and struggling with the discomfort of not knowing, not controlling, not getting it just right. Their personal growth comes from learning to soften, to accept that life is beautifully imperfect, to welcome spontaneity, allow for mistakes, and embrace the messiness of the human journey. When they do, their insight and clarity become tools of healing, not just precision, and their compassion extends not only to others, but finally to themselves. October, the archetype of the diplomat or the artist. October arrives in a symphony of color, golden leaves, crisp air, and a sense of delicate balance between light and dark. It's a time of beauty, transition, and emotional nuance. Jung associated this month with the diplomat or the artist, archetypes that seek harmony, connection, and meaning through beauty and balance. Those born in October often carry a gift for relationships. They're natural peacemakers, sensitive to the emotions of others, attuned to fairness, and often blessed with a refined aesthetic sense. Whether through words, art, or presence, they bring people together. They see what unites rather than what divides. They create space for love, truth, and vulnerability. Many October-born individuals are romantics in the truest sense, not just in love, but in life. They believe in the power of beauty, truth, and emotional depth to heal and unite. But the diplomat's shadow is the fear of discord. In their quest to keep the peace, they may avoid confrontation, even when speaking their truth is necessary. This can lead to self-silencing, or the quiet sacrifice of their own needs to maintain external harmony. Their growth lies in learning that real peace isn't the absence of conflict, it's the ability to face it with grace and clarity. When October-born individuals find the courage to express their truth, they don't disrupt harmony, they deepen it. November, the archetype of the alchemist or the deep transformer. Let me know when you're ready to continue into November, the most mysterious and transformative month of all. November, the archetype of the alchemist or the deep transformer. November arrives cloaked in mystery. The days grow shorter, the air turns still, and nature begins its quiet retreat. It's a time of shadows, of inward movement, and for Jung, a profoundly symbolic season, ruled by the archetype of the alchemist or the deep transformer. Those born in November often carry a powerful intensity. They're intuitive, emotionally deep, and drawn to what lies beneath the surface. These individuals rarely settle for shallow explanations. They want the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. They're not afraid of the dark. In fact, they often find meaning in it. Whether consciously or not, they're constantly seeking transformation. The alchemist's path is rarely an easy one. It demands letting go, facing pain, and rising again, changed. November-born souls may experience cycles of loss and renewal throughout their lives, often emerging from each one wiser, stronger, and more awake. Their greatest challenge is learning to trust the process, to surrender to transformation without becoming lost in it. When they lean into their depth with courage, they often become powerful guides, healers, and visionaries. Their presence alone can inspire others to face their own inner worlds more honestly. December, the archetype of the wise teacher or the visionary sage. December stands at the edge of the year, a time of closure, reflection, and quiet anticipation. For Jung, this month carried the spirit of the wise teacher or the visionary sage. December, the archetype of the wise teacher or the visionary sage. December arrives with a sense of quiet wonder. It marks the end of the calendar year, a time for reflection, closure, and the gentle spark of new beginnings. For Jung, this month resonated with the archetype of the sage, the wise teacher, the visionary, the one who carries both the lessons of the past and the hopes for what lies ahead. People born in December often embody a rare blend of maturity and optimism. They tend to look back with insight and forward with faith. There's usually a philosophical, spiritual, or idealistic quality to their thinking, a sense that life holds deeper meaning and that it's worth exploring and sharing with others. These individuals are often drawn to guide, to teach, or to inspire. They see the bigger picture. They speak to the soul. But like all archetypes, the sage faces challenges. December-born souls can become lost in thought, disconnected from the here and now. They may chase ideals so high that reality feels disappointing by comparison. Their path to growth lies in integration, in anchoring their wisdom into everyday life. When they embody their insights through action, not just words, they become true lights for others, not only wise, but real, grounded, and deeply human. As we've seen through Jung's symbolic lens, each birth month represents more than just a date on a calendar. It holds a distinct psychological energy, a mirror reflecting a unique aspect of the human experience. From the stillness and inner wisdom of January to the expansive vision of December, the months tell a story of soul, of cycles, of self. Jung never intended these archetypes to label us. They weren't meant to define or confine. Instead, he saw them as invitations, keys to unlock deeper conversations with the soul, tools to help us reflect, grow, and reconnect with who we've always been beneath the surface. The calendar, then, becomes more than a way to mark time. It becomes a symbolic map, one that can guide you gently back to yourself. The archetype connected to your birth month can offer powerful insight into your natural strengths, emotional patterns, and the life lessons your soul may be here to explore. But awareness is only the beginning. These symbols aren't meant to sit untouched in the background. They're meant to be lived. Real transformation doesn't come from simply knowing your archetype. It comes from integrating it, from allowing its wisdom to shape how you live, how you choose, and how you grow. Carl Jung called this the process of individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming the most whole, authentic version of yourself. That journey looks different for everyone. There's no single path, no one-size-fits-all destiny. But the more you learn to recognize the symbolic forces quietly guiding your life, the more conscious your choices become. The more deeply you can live, not by default, but by design. Your birth month doesn't define you, but it can reveal something essential. A clue, a reflection, a quiet guide pointing to the soul path you've been walking all along. And now that you've glimpsed this map, maybe, just maybe, you'll see your story, your patterns, and your purpose with new eyes.